So, as of Friday, we've been able to get our grubby mitts on Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and although I did try to buy it as soon as it came out, I was unfortunately unable to. It's because of that I actually haven't been able to play these games all the way through, and so I've only had a small taste of what this trilogy has to offer. However, this video is probably more of an overview to the upgrades to these games and how they improve their playability. So, from my time spent playing, I think I have a good idea of how well these games were ported to Switch, and if it's worth buying it at its current price point. So, today we ask, is Super Mario 3D All-Stars POG?
It's your boy, Podge.
Where to begin with Mario 64? I can't really say that I'm impressed with how this has been presented to us in this trilogy. While Sunshine was upgraded to a 16:9 aspect ratio, 64 was left in 4:3. Not to mention that it, along with Sunshine, only run at a lousy 30 frames per second. I understand that Galaxy is the only one that originally ran at 60 FPS, but it would have been a nice enhancement to have 64 running more smoothly. I mean, for God's sake, Super Mario 64 DS ran at 60 FPS back in 2004. It's a shame, because it's certainly doable. Many hackers and modders of Mario 64 have proven that the game can run in widescreen. It just seems all Nintendo did with 64 was update a very small amount of the textures. But this game needs far more work to bring it up to modern day standards. At this point, Nintendo just seems lazy. I mean, having Mario 64 on the Switch is great. The game controls absolutely fine as far as I can see. It was obviously released 24 years ago, so the controls are a little bit janky, but I assume this is how it used to play back on the N64 originally. For reference, I've only played the DS remake, which, let's be honest, didn't have brilliant controls either. Unfortunately, as this game is based upon the updated Japanese release, Mario has lost his funny line, "So long, Gay Bowser." So, rip Gay Bowser, you shall be missed. Another problem with this version is that the backwards long jump has also been removed, so speedrunning on this version of the game will probably no longer be a very viable option. So, at least in my opinion, the 3D All-Stars version of Mario 64 is disappointing. It feels like this game was left way too unedited when considering what Nintendo did with Sunshine. Therefore, for this segment, I'll only give this game a 4 Pogs out of 10, as the novelty of being able to play 64 on the Switch can only get you so far. A few more enhancements, and this would have been worth its price to me. Super Mario Sunshine was the game I was most looking forward to, as it's the only one in the trilogy that I haven't actually played. Off the bat, having the game in this new 16:9 aspect ratio was awesome. It actually felt like a nice enhancement to the formula and really brought the game up to more modern day standards. However, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that Sunshine only runs at 30 frames per second is disappointing. It would have been very nice to have this game running smoothly on a system which, let's be honest, could easily run these titles at a better frame rate as well as with improved textures and shaders. In some ways, I feel like Sunshine and Galaxy could have received a similar upgrade to the Zelda HD releases. However, this would have meant that they probably wouldn't have all been bundled together for the same price point. Well, they might have done if they weren't Nintendo. I mean, you know, the Crash Insane trilogy sold for £40 and was a complete remake, rather than a quote-unquote remaster, if it's even that. FLUDD's controls are also mapped differently on the Switch. As the console lacks the analog triggers of the GameCube controller, the water spray is mapped to the 2 buttons instead of just 1. To run and use FLUDD uses the ZR button, whereas the precise water spray is mapped to just R. This is a little awkward to get used to, but after a little bit more time with it, I think I should be fine. However, the fact that we are completely unable to use the analog triggers on the actual GameCube controller seems very confusing to me. It just seems to be one of those things that Nintendo would have done without question, but they just didn't bother with it. I'm not sure if this was just an oversight or Nintendo being lazy again, but again, this too is unfortunate, even if I don't own the hardware to complain about it. Again, the novelty of having another 3D Mario on the go is a major selling point. The fact that I can play this game anywhere I want, and that I don't have to pull out old hardware to do it legitimately, is absolutely brilliant. With this title, I think I'm going to be a little bit more lenient, as Nintendo clearly put more work into porting this game than they did with 64. Not to mention that many people have probably never played this game, as it was released for the GameCube, which didn't sell anywhere near as well as the Wii or Switch. For these reasons, I'm going to give Sunshine a 7 Pogs out of 10. While more enhancements to the graphics and frame rate would have been nice, the fact that it doesn't run on the 4x3 cramped display and is now portable makes up for it for me. So there's no Galaxy 2, which is obviously a shame. That is the one that I did play as a kid. However, Galaxy, even though it has the least enhancements, puts both the other titles to shame, and that's only really because it was designed for hardware that utilised the modern standards that we expect today. The Wii ran both Galaxy games at 60 FPS and in widescreen originally, so Nintendo really didn't have to put too much more work in. From what I've seen, the cutscenes do seem to be remastered, which is also very nice. If they're not, I'm sure you'll correct me in the comments. So, as Galaxy runs at this better frame rate, it kind of feels alien when compared to the two other sluggish titles in this collection. The game has also been modified to use the gyro of the Joy-Cons, which is a must when picking up star bits in the game. The game also allows for both a button press and a shake of the controller to use Mario's spin, which is brilliant when compared to the original, where I often found myself shaking the Wiimote to wait for nothing to happen. The use of the button gives the player a more reliable move to use in boss fights, which is where I used it most in my short time of playing. I think Nintendo did the best with what they had when playing Galaxy Undocked. For reference, I played this level again in handheld mode and it wasn't quite as good. Using my thumb to awkwardly try to pick up star bits was a bit of a pain, and I lost the control that I'd normally have if I'd just been playing with a normal controller. Do I think Nintendo did the best they could have done with this? No. It probably would have been nice to have the option to move the camera to the triggers and then use the right stick for the cursor, but it doesn't make the game unplayable, and not to mention that Mario can run over star bits like coins anyway. It's more of a quality of life thing. However, having Galaxy on the Switch is great. The portable aspect is hindered a little bit by handheld, but we're still able to use tabletop mode with disconnected Joy-Cons on the go. The main point is that the game is still playable in handheld, it's just not quite as seamless. The higher resolution is also pretty pog. Galaxy gets an 8 out of 10 pogs for me. I mean, the game was destined to be ported to the Switch at some point. It's just a shame that it wasn't with Galaxy 2 and in the Zelda HD remaster style. So, the elephant in the room is the limited release period. In any other circumstance, I'd just say to wait for it to go on sale. But let's be honest here, it probably won't do that in this short period. There are two reasons that I can think of for Nintendo doing this. One is that the Switch is soon going to receive an N64 emulator on Nintendo Switch Online, and so they won't make people pay for Mario 64 twice. Or, the more likely two, a limited release means more people will get desperate and try to buy it as soon as possible, just like myself. As much as I hate to admit it, I think I've fallen for this marketing plan, as well as so many others, as seen from how quickly the game sold out on day one. More desperate people means more people will buy it, and that Nintendo will make even more money. They know that they can release games as is, and people will buy them no matter what. And you know what? It's true. They will. But do I think you should buy the game? Honestly, if you like Mario and you've wanted to play these games on your Switch or just have them portable, I'd honestly go for it. I hope to think that the Switch will become this sort of universal console that Nintendo will just port everything to, but at the moment, we've just got this. If you're honestly considering it, I'd just go for it. We've only got the limited release after all, and if you wait too long, then they'll probably all be sold out and you'll be stuffed. The choice is yours, my friend. Just make sure you make the right one. And with that, thank you very much for watching this episode of Boy Porg. If you liked it, then please comment down below and like the video and hit subscribe and all that Gucci stuff. And I shall see you all in the next video. Au revoir.